This video is brought to you by our amazing supporters over at Patreon. Hey everyone, it's Ben from Board to Bits, and in this video we're going to be making our level end UI a little bit smarter, kind of respond to the context of how the level ended. Because right now, regardless of how we finish our level, we end up simply kind of incrementing the level, starting over, and so and going to the next level, or if we're at the end of all of our levels, just going back to the first level. So there's really no way to track whether or not you actually successfully completed the level, or if you've actually finished the game and you've finished all the levels, to kind of respond to that. And there is actually a reason for that. It's not quite as easy as we might like it, and that is because if we look in our scripts here, we see that what happens is we hit the goal, which then calls this level manager on level end event. And the problem being that this level manager exists in the game scene, and then we go to our level end UI, which exists in the level end UI scene. And so they're not coexisting, so they can't pass information back and forth between one another. So what we really want to do is be able to have some sort of a go-between, or something that exists from game to level end UI that can say, hey, this was the situation when the level ended. And fortunately, we have an object that does that, which is our play session manager. Remember, that's our singleton instance with obviously some issues that come with that, but it carries information from scene to scene to scene. So what we can do is in our play session manager, we'll open up this script, and I'm going to create a bool. I'm just going to make this a public bool. And I'm going to call this current end success. And we'll set that equal to false for now, but it doesn't really. This is going to be changed in script. Actually, we'll call it most recent end success, because it's really going to be looking back whenever we're looking at it. Kind of a clunky name, but very descriptive of what it's going to do. So what we need to do is, remember I said that this on level end gets called, and we have assigned our handle level end method in our play session manager to that on level end event. And that event does carry a bool of whether or not the level got completed. So what we can actually do is assign this most recent success from whatever's coming from this on level end event. So we're going to jump down to our handle level end. I'm just going to go to declaration. And we see that we are indeed getting the information of whether or not the most recent level was completed. We're going to continue to do our singleton check first, because if this is not the current singleton instance, then we don't want to do anything in this method. We're just going to return out of it. But then from there, what we can do is we can actually say here that our new most recent end success, we're going to set that bool equal to whether or not level completed is true or false. And so that now gives us this information that's going to be stored inside of this singleton, and it'll move on, and that information will now move on to the next scene with us. With that in place, we can now, in our level end UI, actually get some references to some objects, namely the button and the message that we're showing to our player, and kind of alter them based on what that information is in the play session manager. So we're going to have to add using Unity Engine .ui to our namespaces so that we can get access to the UI objects. And then we're going to create three variables here. We're going to do a public text, and I'm going to call this message, and that's going to be that top message, whether it says, level completed, level failed, or you've won the game. And then we're going to have a public button, and I'm just going to call this next level, or I'll call this restart button. And then finally, we're going to have another public text, which is going to be that R button message, or R button label, we'll call it. And that's obviously whatever text is on this restart button. And we're just going to manually assign those for right now. Now, where do we call this? We don't want to call it in either of these methods. We actually want to do it right when the scene starts. So we're going to create our void start method. And in here, what we're going to do is we're going to set up a couple of quick things. We're going to say that our message.text is equal to, and here we're going to say, now we're going to check and see what that play session manager play session manager dot instance dot most recent end success. So actually, I might even put that in a bool up here. Now that I think about it, I'm going to say here, because we're going to be checking that a couple of times. So we're going to say bool success equals, and then I'm going to copy and paste this in. There. So now instead of having to check this whole long line each time, we're going to keep our code a little bit cleaner. We can just say, so we're going to say message text equals, and then we're going to do a quick check here, and we're going to say, was it a success, or was it a successfully completed level? If so, then we want our message to be level complete, or completed, complete. Otherwise, we will say something like level failed. Likewise, we're going to want our R button label.text to equal, and again, we're going to check success. And here we're going to say, if it was a success, we'll say next level. We'll go on to that next level. Otherwise, we'll say try again. So let's just start with this for now. We're not obviously handling what happens at the end of the level, but for now we can work with this. So we'll save that here, and we're going to jump back to Unity. I'm going to jump to our level scene. We'll hit play. And now what we should see here, now we don't actually have a way to get to the fail state, so we can't, because we can't follow our level right now, but if I go to the level and succeed, we are not getting anything, and that is because I did not actually manually assign these. So we do need to make sure that we now jump to our, we're going to jump back into our level end, go to our level end UI, and we see that we have these three variables here. So I'm going to want to add those in. So I'm going to do message is going to be our message text. Restart button is going to be the entire button of the restart button. And then the R button label is the text that's within there, because that is the text that resides on that button. So we'll drop that in, save that once more, and now go back to the level, hit play, and we'll see that we can head over, and now we are at level complete, and we can go to the next level. So we can go next level, new level appears, we move around the scene, and once again, we're changing the text here to level complete, and we have the option to go to the next level. We can also still return to our menu, and that goes here, and we have our main menu. But now I think if we start the game, what we see is that we're now actually at the third level too, which is nice. So it is storing our progress right now, but then it's also saying that when you've successfully completed a level, we're telling you that you're going to start a new level rather than repeating the same level over and over again. So our UI is being a little bit more informative about what is going on. So the second thing we want to handle is what happens if the player is on the last level. Right now, we're simply checking whether or not the previous level played succeeded, but now we want to say if we're on the very last level and we've finished the game, then instead of saying, go to the next level on the button or restart the level, we just want to eliminate that button altogether, go back to the main menu, and say in the message that, hey, you have won the game. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to jump again back to the play session manager, and we're going to get that information here as well. So you'll recall in our handle level end, we are saying if we complete the level, then right now what we're doing is we're incrementing, and we're simply incrementing and then kind of modulating using modulo to say if we've surpassed the catalog length, simply go back to 0. And that's not really what we ultimately want to do here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say this a little bit differently here. We're going to get rid of modulo altogether, and now we have current level equals current level plus 1, which we can actually just simplify to current level plus plus, the increment operator. So now we're saying, if we completed the level, go up one more. Now what I want to do is I want to specifically say here, if current level is greater than or equal to catalog.length, meaning if we have exceeded that number, if we were at the last level and we've now gone past it, we're outside of the array, then we need to do now two things here. First thing we are going to do now is we're going to say current level equals 0, because what we're doing, I do still want to reset that, but I don't want to do it all in one line so that we can then, make sure we're checking this here. So what we're saying here is if current level is greater than or equal to the catalog, if we've come to the end of the level list, reset back to 0, but then we are going to set another bool to game complete. So we're going to create another public bool up here. I'm going to call this public bool game complete. That one will also default to false. You don't actually have to say this here. Bools default to false when you don't assign them, but just to be clear. And then now down here, I'm going to say game complete equals true. So now our level end UI can also check on this. And so what we'll say up here is, before we actually check for the success, we can check, hey, is the game completed? And so we're going to say bool. Actually, in this case, we don't even have to say set a bool for this. We're just going to say if play session manager .ins .game complete. Then what we're going to do here is we're going to set our message.text, and I only need this part here, equal to, and we're going to set that equal to you won the game. And then we're going to take our restart button, and we're actually going to say restart button.gameObject.setActive false. And so what that now does for us is says, we're at the end of the game. We're not going to give you the option to restart the last level. Obviously, there's no more levels for you to go to. So all you can do is go back to the main menu and restart the game from there. However, there is one last thing I want to do in here now, which is to say, I don't want then if you restart the game, you're going to start at level 0 again. You play that, well, and now all of a sudden game complete is still true, so every single time you finish a level, it's going to say you won the game. Not ideal, so what I want to do now is I want to also make sure that we reset that back to false once this is triggered. So we're going to say play session manager .ins .game complete equals false. So what that does for us is that just lets us say that we can now play again, and it will it won't say that the game is finished every single time you finish a level. Lastly, I'm going to say return so that we do not then continue on and do the rest of the things here, which would suddenly change the message that we're giving the player. Okay, so with all of that in place, we can now go back to our game. We'll start in the main menu this time. We'll hit play, start game, and something is not reading. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. What do we... Current levels greater than catalog.length. We don't have a catalog for some reason, which is a little bit weird. I'm wondering... that's why, because I never actually put the catalog in... I must have done it in the game level, or the game scene, but not actually affected the prefab. So let me jump back here to Play Session Manager. I'm going to apply this to all the prefabs. So there, now that has that first level catalog. And now we can, I'm going to save that, make sure that that's saved, go back to main menu, and now we can hit play. Start game. There we go, got our first level. Level complete. Go to the next level. Level complete. Go to the next level. You won the game. Now you don't have an option to go back at any levels. You simply return to the menu. However, now, we'll watch and see. If I start the game again, I start at level 0. We reset that back to 0. Level complete, next level. It's telling me I won the game again. So, we now have a little bit more, we have our loop working, and it's a little bit more intelligent as to what's happening in the level before it. In our next video, we're actually going to look at how to get out of our levels when we're actually playing them rather than just by finishing them. So that if, say, you had a much longer level and the player needed to break out of it, they could do that. And then also look at, we're going to start creating a level selection system so that you can complete levels, see what levels you have available to you, and actually start your game from a level that you choose rather than always having to start from wherever you currently are placed. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.